What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father. At Amazon, Kindle, and Create Space. A link will be in the description box below. As usual, this video is entitled The Evolving Deadbeat Dad Narrative. You know, when I was younger, there was a certain narrative of what a deadbeat dad was. And over the years, I've noticed that evolve into things that wouldn't be considered a deadbeat back then. And it's like, you know, back in the day, they used to say this guy was a deadbeat dad. And it meant something. And now they say, my father wasn't in my life. And that means, it's supposed to mean he was a deadbeat, but it's so nuanced, it leaves a lot of room for something, maybe not. So you got people out here who feel as though their father was a deadbeat, but because their father wasn't in their lives, meeting people who actually had deadbeat dads, and they're kind of like, what? Wait, what? That's what? You know, it's this confusion. So let's get into what I'm talking about. There were people who got disowned. Like, you knew that was your kid, but you didn't, you know, I'm not claiming that kid. That's not my kid. I know that's my kid, but forget that kid. I ain't got nothing to do with that kid. That was thus the deadbeat. It's evolved because now that is included with a guy who didn't even know they had a kid with a particular person. And, you know, they may find out, and that kid may be an adult of 10 years. Oh, I think it's you. You're really the dad. And it's like, now that guy, has been propped up to be a deadbeat, even though they didn't know they had a kid at the same time. So that's what I mean by it's evolving, right? Where it's creating, it's starting to make people look at the decisions that are being made. Like, there's used to be considered a deadbeat if you were abusive. You know, this guy was abusive to the mother of his children. He was abusive in front of the kids. He's a deadbeat. You know, because she had to leave him because he was so abusive, right? Now it's evolved to the point where you can actually be, a mother could be abusive to a father in front of the kids, and instead of fighting, he leaves, and he's considered a deadbeat because he's not gonna be in an abusive situation. So it's like, you know, it's going a little too far. It's gone a little too far. And this ain't about the mothers per se. This is more so about, I know this, and I remember this very vividly, where young adults will find out the other side of the story, whether when they were in college, with high school, college, adults in the world, or become parents, and they realize, you know, they have a hard time dealing with their deadbeat dad didn't really have to be a deadbeat. They're more so a deadbeat in their mind than actually in reality. And now they don't trust their whole family. You get what I'm saying? Because they feel like they got robbed of their father. So this is why I'm saying that, because you wind up, people who actually had deadbeat dads wind up having conversations with people who didn't actually have deadbeat dads, and they're like, that don't even add up. Like, you're not processing this right. So one of the other narratives, you know, you had guys who you would say had, how can I say, who had abuse, not like substance abuse problems, you know, drugs, alcohol. And those guys were considered deadbeats because they chose the substance over their kid. They were just strung out, or drunks, or whatever you want to call it. And now you have a situation where people say somebody is on drugs or an alcoholic. It's like, I won't let you be around them because they're on that stuff, even when they're not on something, you know. So that's the type of situation I'm talking about. No, there used to be a situation where guys we called deadbeats, where he was a deadbeat because unless he was having sex with his child's mother, he wasn't coming to check on the child. And it's gone so far as to, I'm just using the how far the pendulum can swing. It's not an absolute thing, but now it's gone so far as where, you know, some guys can't see their kid unless they sleep with their child's mother. Because if they don't, you don't like your kid because you ain't giving, you know, we ain't, you know, if you coming by to see this kid, I need some attention, you know. So if she don't like you, no kid, right? But he's considered a deadbeat too until she gets some sexual healing. So this narrative is evolving. You know, there are guys who would be considered deadbeats. Who you would consider deadbeat if you didn't financially provide for your kid. And now, you know, you can financially provide for your kid and be considered a deadbeat. And you could be considered a deadbeat if you are providing for for your kid and kids that aren't yours. You know, that's just, you know, and this is part of the issue because, you know, you were considered a deadbeat if a woman, you left her with the child and the responsibility, and she met another man, and that other man got with her and took care of her and that kid, and they may have had kids together. So the man took in that kid like it was his own. So if he did that, you were considered a deadbeat. Now it's evolved to the point where instead of having that happen naturally, you might have a kid with a guy and you don't want to be with him anymore, so you meet another guy, y'all get together, but you try to replace him. He didn't leave the situation between him and his kid. You're trying to push him out of the situation between him and his kid. So now that's evolved to being looked at as a deadbeat also. So it's like, we're pushing it out here. Like we really pushing the boundaries of what is and what isn't. Same thing with the hell? With the Rolling Stone, right? You would consider a deadbeat if you was a Rolling Stone. You got multiple kids in multiple places. Now, how can I say this? You can be considered a deadbeat if the person that you had a kid with has multiple kids by multiple men, and you only interact with yours. You know, that's the best way I could say it. Which is a problem because it's evolved, like, you know, to everything is on the table. You were considered a deadbeat if you would neglect your children. You know, and what I mean by neglect is, you know those dads that used to say, I'm gonna come get you, and they talk to the kid directly, like, I'm gonna come get you at 7:00. Be ready. We're gonna go kick it. You know, we're gonna go out for the weekend. We're gonna go get some sneakers. We're gonna go to the movies. We're gonna eat pizza and have fun. And their kids be waiting on them the doorstep, and the dad never show up. That was a deadbeat, you know. Now, guys are considered deadbeats when you getting that narrative from somebody other than the father. Like, you know, you can have a mother, grandmother, like your dad's supposed to come get you today at 6:30, but you know I don't think he loves you enough. I don't think he's gonna show up. Dude don't know nothing about it. You know, so now the kid waiting on dad, and she know that her and dad haven't never had this conversation about this particular thing, or or they did have a conversation and they up and leave before dad shows up. You know, so he's still considered a deadbeat. You're like, you never came to get me. Actually, I did come to get you, and y'all wasn't at home. Or actually, I didn't know I was supposed to come to get you. Then when I never had a conversation with you about that. You know, so it keeps evolving and evolving, and you start seeing it when these kids meet other kids and they start comparing notes. And when these kids become adults and they become parents, and they either gonna do right by their kid because they gonna see it when they're doing right by their kid, like, oh, okay, this is right, this is real, and this is fake. Or they gonna do wrong by their kid, they go like, oh, this is the game you gotta play to save face. So for me, it's like, man, it's ever evolving, and I think it's gonna come to a head in society because it's gonna become nuanced in that my father wasn't there for me thing, because people are starting to question, was your father not there for you because your father was actually a deadbeat, or was your father not there for you because of were your mother a deadbeat, keeping your father out of your life? You get what I'm saying? Or were you a deadbeat child because you thought you were supposed to be your dad's enemy? Like, I think it's going to become nuanced, and it's going to get interesting. So that's my opinion. Yeah.